Hey everyone, welcome back to Watch and Carry. So in today's video, I'm just going to show you how I do a basic clean on my Onewheel Plus. Now, I don't really ride anywhere too off-road. I usually stick just to pavement, so nothing too much with grass or dirt or mud. And I've never ridden this thing in water or the rain. So, your cleaning will probably be a little bit different than mine, but for just day-to-day normal pavement riding, this is kind of what I do. So in a previous video I've covered already, I like to start with the grip tape first. So, just to keep this touched up, remove off any dirt or any sand that might be in there. So I use this diamond dirt remover. You can order this on Amazon for about $7 or $8. And this really is good for skateboards, anything that has a grip tape. And what I'll do is I will use this to rub in one long direction. So if we're doing this grip tape, for example, I will start at one end here, go in long straight lines this way, then switch my orientation, repeat again, switch my orientation now this way, and then again switch my orientation this way. So I would call this like one pass, and that takes me usually about 4 or 5 passes, applying medium to heavy pressure, basically like putting the whole weight of your arm and your shoulder down as you're grabbing it through, but really helps to do long, even passes. As you start wiping down that grip tape, you'll have some of this buildup that will kind of form here. The thicker that gets, the less effective I see that it grabs the dirt. So every once in a while, I'll just like take this excess here that's kind of been like blackened and dirtied and just peel it off and just throw it away so I have a fresh piece to go off of. Okay, so I do that to both sides, and once I have the grip tape done, I like to start with the dirtiest part first, so that would be the tire. So what I like to do is I have this on a crate right now of some sort, so that way, the wheel is suspended in the middle, and I'll go ahead and turn the machine on. Get that focus for you. Okay, be aware now that with the Onewheel on in a horizontal position, that the minute you press both pads, the wheel will start turning as such. Okay, so I'm actually going to move this over here where it's carpeted a little bit. Okay, and then what I like to do is let's see if I can zoom in actually. Cooper. Okay, so let's zoom in here. And what I'm going to do here is focus first on cleaning that tire. I have a separate rag that is, pretty wet and moist. And so I'm going to hold that on the wheel. Make sure to keep your fingers away from here, especially around that tire valve, because as this spins, that could whip and hit your finger. So just stick to the outside of the tire, okay? So I just take my rag here, and I activate the 2 sensors, and I'll usually just hold this here in the back. And you can kind of control the speed. So instead of just pushing hard and fast, I kind of like tap, tap, tap to kind of control that this thing doesn't move too fast for me, right? So let's see if I can do it this way so you can see. Yeah, you can see my fingers there, so. Then I'll get that sidewall. Again, keep your fingers clear of the hub. And then here. Okay. And then that part is pretty much done. I'll go ahead and rotate my towel just to get a basic cleaning to get off any loose dirt that might be on the outside here. Okay. I'll go ahead and turn this machine off now. And then now I'll go ahead and clean that inside hub here, just rotating manually with my hand. Okay, let's do a rotate here. Probably can move. Okay, I can just keep it here, I guess. Just want to make sure you guys can see. Great. Get that wood clean here by the side of the grip tape, side rails. Okay, the power button, you can see it here in the video, is located to the left of me right now, so just be delicate while pushing that and cleaning that. And then of course you've got your power port on the other side. I don't even mess with the power port. My power port, as you can see here, is covered by a plug. I don't know if I can get that in shot for you guys. Yeah, so I've got that plug in there. If you ever ride without a plug, or you notice that the inside of that plug is dirty, I wouldn't mess with anything in there. Definitely no liquids at all. At the most, I would probably use one of those compressed air cans. You just need to make sure that when you're holding that the compressed air is not going to be shooting out the propellant fluid that's inside. Usually that evaporates pretty quick, but just to be safe, make sure you hold that in the upright position. If you really want to be safe, sometimes I'll just take a Q-tip, something really light and not that firm, and just kind of like clean around the prongs. But the best thing you can do is really just get some kind of port plug cover for that. Okay, I'm going to flip this over. Okay, get the underside here. Okay, so I've kind of removed the heavy dust from that. Now I've got a brand new cloth here. Okay, and this one again is moist, and now I'm going to do a second pass. Okay, and now that I've gotten all that loose dirt off with the first brush, or the first towel, this is really just to kind of make it shine again and get anything else that might be stuck on there. Some pretty self-explanatory stuff. Okay, again, it's moist. Stay clear of that power button. Stay clear of the plug where you charge it, unless you have a dry towel. Okay, now the next part to focus on here is right in between that crevice. Now for the Onewheel Plus, probably the XR2, the gap here is really, really thin. Okay, I think it's even thinner than the Pint. So what I like to do to just kind of clean any dirt that might be stuck here, sometimes what happens is if I'm riding like in the park, there'll be little seeds or maybe even pieces of pine cone that will get lodged between the tire and this board. And sometimes it'll get stuck in there even though the wheel is moving, and it will create a really nasty, graty sound. So it's good to also clean that out. If you have a Q-tip, that would be best to kind of just like push whatever's in there. But if not, you can go ahead and take a towel and just pretend the towel is kind of like a piece of dental floss, right? So we'll take the towel here. Okay, we'll pull it from underneath, get the thin side, and just kind of rub it back and forth. There you go. Just like that. Again, make sure your Onewheel obviously is off at this point. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You got a good amount of dirt off on that one. Flip this over. Okay, we'll do the same thing again. Actually, the front pad sensor seems to have more of a gap than the rear, at least in my board. Okay. Okay, and then the last thing I'll do here is just to make the tire shine a little bit and get the rest of that dirt off. I'll turn it back on. Okay, again, keep your hands clear of inside here and inside here. This is a wet, damp towel that's kind of been folded over to a new side, and I'll just kind of rotate this over. And then we'll do the sidewall. And the other. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Okay, and when you're done, board looks nice and clean. Okay, there are some people that like to use a hose. I've seen that online. I don't know if a hose would be a great idea. I have heard these things are pretty water resistant, especially the pint. But the thing is, if it's something that's not that dirty and you can take care of it manually by hand and with towels, I always think that's more preferable. Secondly, like, I don't know how many of you guys ride bicycles, but I always tend to clean my bike after each ride. And one of the things they say not to do is use something like a power washer or a strong jet. Now, a strong jet or power washer seems great because you can really remove debris a lot easier without having to scrub and do any hard manual labor. But the problem is you end up forcing a lot of dirt into tiny crevices, or you end up exposing parts that shouldn't have a lot of force placed on them, especially like a power washer, and damaging those components. Now, the Onewheel is pretty durable. I mean, there's some people that have done some gnarly stuff to this in terms of tricks, so I'm sure cleaning it would hold up. For me, I always say play it safe. Just like putting in screws, try to do things by hand first and see how much of it you can get off. Other things I've seen online that I haven't done personally is I've seen people just clean the sidewall with that tire shine that they use for cars. Obviously not the contact patch, but just the sidewall. That looks kind of cool because it does add a little bit of longevity to your tire in terms of preventing it from cracking, and also just makes it look really nice. And then you can also buy these, sometimes what they use in cars is called, what is that thing called? It almost looks like putty. Clay bar. Obviously there's no paint really too much on here and here, but there's a little bit. I don't know if this is painted or not, but obviously it has some color. So if you really want to remove some of the imperfections, I've seen people go really extreme and get some clay bar and take it to there as well. But that's pretty much going to do it today. Again, I recommend just going manual with cleaning, but if you could focus on prevention, like getting your plugs, getting your guards underneath, covering your power port. They sell covers for your power port too. I always think that is a better, safer option. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.